All right, so if everybody can see my screen okay, ecology presentation dose. Great, okay. Oh, it's thinking about it. All right, so this is just our reminder screen that you'll want to go ahead and log into your One Health section. That way, when we're ready to release you to do your sections of the ecology module, that you're already locked, loaded, and ready to go. Okay. And if you have any trouble accessing it today, I'm again your tech support. So you can always send me a direct message if you're having any issues. So just a brief reminder about what we talked about yesterday. Yesterday, we went over abiotic versus biotic factors, and then we related that to how deer interact with them. Can somebody give me an example of an abiotic factor that relate to deer? Water. Very good, Sophia. Yes. And we know that water is an abiotic factor because it is not alive. Awesome. So then we also discussed different organizations of the ecosystem. So we have the individual level, at the organism level, populations, and communities. So can somebody tell me a type of animal that would be in community with the white-tailed deer? You so got this. I know you can do it. Wolves. Yes, very good. And for biotic, that would be, so they would be biotic, and they would also be in community with white-tailed deer. So remember, a population is when the same species are in a group. Community are groups of populations that interact with one another. So a white-tailed deer and a white-tailed deer, both being biotic factors, form a population. And then the wolves that exist in the same ecosystem as the deer, but are not the same species, form a community with the white-tailed deer. Does that make sense for everybody? Does anybody have any clarification questions? No? Okay. Great. I'm glad you feel comfortable with it, Carolina. All right, here we go. So today we'll be working through 2 sections instead of 1. So yesterday we just did ecosystem organization. Today we have 2 shorter sections that we're going to group. The first one being energy flow and ecosystems and biodiversity. And then what we're going to do is, after you've worked through your module, we're going to talk about how we can apply the concepts of biodiversity to how veterinarians and environmental protection agents work together to stabilize elk and other populations in our national parks of the US. So we're all going to navigate to our module, and I'll exit this PowerPoint so we can do it together. So you'll want to come to this screen, the One Health login. And then all of you will want to log in here. I'm not going to log in as myself because you'll see the teacher view. I'm just going to navigate to the viewer to show you what it should look like when you get to the right screen. Okay. So in your ecology module, and Carolina, you'll want to make sure you do the other way, not this way. This is just a preview way of looking at it, not the login way. That way you can do your pretest. You'll want to make sure that you come to energy flow and ecosystems here, and biodiversity. These are going to be the 2 sections we do today. Does anybody have any questions about that? Or if you can't find the right screen, please let me know. You and I can go into a breakout room and figure it out. Can I get a thumbs up from everybody if they feel like they found it? One from Ruth. Sophia, thank you. How's everybody else doing? You able to find it? Great, glad. So that's good, Maria. I just need to make sure Caro and Carolina are okay. What's funny is my best friend, her name is Caro, and her mother's name is Carolina. So this is great. Kristen, could you do me a favor and drop the link in the chat too, just in case that's what Carolina could use most? Thank you. Yeah, Katerina, I'm glad you can see the pretest. You go ahead and take it. So my plan for us all is I'm going to give you until 9:30, and then I'm just going to check on you and see how much time you guys feel that you need. You don't have to be done at 9:30. I just want to see where you guys are at. Okay. And we'll go from there. As people start to finish, you'll want to come back to the Zoom screen because I have some fun poll questions for us to play with while we wait for everybody to be done. Okay. So I will check on you guys again at 9:30. And if you guys have any questions or something doesn't make sense or something's not working on your modules, please let us know. That's what we're here for. We'll be here the whole time, okay? Yes, Maria, if you'll go ahead and you can do those two sections. That's what we'll be working on until I check on you guys at 9:30. So don't rush, all of you guys, especially Katarina. Take your time on your pre-test. We have plenty of time for what we're going to do today, okay? Another thing I should say is after you guys are done, if you're done before everybody else, go ahead and gather your multicolored objects on your supply list that I sent out, whether that's your M&Ms, your Skittles, or some cut up pieces of colored paper. Okay. All right, my friends, how are we doing? Let's see. If you would like 10 more minutes, give me a thumbs up. If you'd like 15 more minutes, give me a clapping sign. We have a clap, clap, a thumbs up, a thumbs up. Okay, so we will do 12 minutes. How about that? So we'll get back here at, oh, you can hear leaf blowers. Sorry about that. They're doing lawn maintenance. 9:43, okay?
So this is Glitch. He is about a year-old crested gecko. He loves to jump. That's why his name is Glitch. He will just like jump from one hand to another, and yeah, he's pretty cool dude. You say hi?
He's so cute.
He is killer.
He looks like a sidekick in a Disney movie.
Yeah. I made that face at the beginning because he was trying to climb up my computer screen. I was like, no, come here.
I thought you just plotted it like, surprise.
He just,
Oh no! He just jumped.
he jumped like to the top of my laptop.
Wow, good job, Glitch.
Here, you want to jump for them? Maybe? I know, you wouldn't go to the laptop, don't you? Here, you want to jump here? Maybe? He'll usually do it. Here.
He's camera shy. He's got the stage fright.
You want to jump? Maybe? Maybe not. It's like, I don't know. I'm going to go over here. Okay, you jump here? Maybe. No? You want to go up there? Okay, you want to jump here? You love to jump, but now you're not going to jump first.
He did it one time.
On the laptop.
On the laptop, yeah.
Are you going to jump?
How old is he?
He's about a year. We got him when he was a little baby.
Oh!
Like
he jumped.
But so he was probably like that big when we got him. And now he's much bigger.
Is he gonna get any bigger, or is that his adult size?
I think it's his adult size. Let's see.
I see that one. That was good. What does he eat?
He eats crickets that are gut loaded with calcium.
Okay.
And he also has a smoothie, which has like fruits and veggies in it.
Oh, good. I thought you were gonna say it was a smoothie of something disgusting. Maria wants to know if you know about red-eyed crocodile skinks.
Yes, I actually almost got one. Then I was like, I don't know about the red eyes peering at you in the evening.
Do you like spiders? I don't. We have a person in my class, his name's Andrew, and we had a lot of class on Zoom in vet school this year. And sometimes on Fridays in my organ dysfunction class, we always had show and tell pet day before class started because that was our only class for the day. And he had his tarantula right here, and he kept talking, and so it was always the video that was right here. And so there was this giant spider on my camera, and I was not a fan.
Yeah. He has the coolest feet though, because they're like little suction cups.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, it's funny. But he feels like velvet. That's a good description.
Ooh, that's cool.
So it's really cool feeling. Let's see if I can show you his foot better. Maybe.
Oh, that was loud.
Where are you going? No, where are you going? All right. Favorite snake? So I had a rainbow boa for a little over a year. And then it accidentally got in some poison, some roach poison. Yeah. So, but he was really pretty. He was kind of like a rock clay color, but he shimmered pretty good. So he was like a rainbow in certain lights. So that's probably my favorite.
I think I like the ball python, and that's because I can identify it. And for the most part, I only hear good things about how they are good pets. But I don't think I would ever own a pet snake just because it's just not my vibe. I think the people who have snakes are cool though. Like I really like her snake Ember. I think that's cool.
Yeah, she is the chillest snake I've ever met. She'll just like stay right there with you. Balls are the same way though. They'll just like sit in the ball in your hand.
Yeah, and they don't get especially big, right? They stay kind of small. So I feel like if somebody said, my ball python is sick, can you help me? I would say, I will pull out my textbook and I will try. Or I'll go, I have this friend named Kristen. She's an exotics vet. Go see her. It depends on what the snake needs.
Yeah. What games do you play with Glitch? Okay, so he loves to jump, so we always play like how far can you jump kind of games. It's really his favorite game. He loves to jump. I don't know what else would you play with a gecko. I don't know.
I guess do geckos play fetch?
I mean, he fetches crickets. He doesn't bring them back though.
The green and black mamba. Sounds like something that would try to eat me. So
Yeah.
I am not a big fan. I do really like the giant yellow pythons. I think those are cool. I've held one of those before. Oh, that was a good leap.
I can put him up whenever y'all are ready.
Okay.
Showing off a little. Are you gonna jump? Maybe.
All right. So let's look at this poll here. So it looks like we have, has everybody got to answer? 6 of 8. So I think I don't get to play because I made the poll. Anybody else wants to go ahead and answer now, and then we'll see who the winner of each category is.
I don't think, well, it let me do it, but I didn't. So I think I'm 7 and then you're 8.
Okay.
Oh wait, there's 9. Well, Tori's on there too. Yeah. So I think you got everybody.
Okay. All right, end poll. And I'm gonna share the results. Okay, what grade are you in? Looks like we have a heavy balance of 7th graders. Hello, way to represent. But I liked, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade fairly equally. So I think that's a good group. Now, I'm really, really upset that nobody picked Burger King. Like, I think we all need to have a serious sit-down conversation because that's my favorite. So I don't know how I feel about that. All right, lions, tigers, and bears. Somebody who picked lion, defend your decision for me, would you? Put it in the chat. Go for it, Maria.
The reason I chose lion was technically, well, you have a pride of your own. But technically, you also have another family. Because if you're a tiger, well, the male tigers, they don't stay with their family. They leave, and the mother will have to take care of the cub until there's a certain age where they also get to leave.
Okay, what a rational thought.
Because you can be all alone.
I think if I were to pick, I would pick bear because they hibernate, and that would mean I could take long naps. I love a good
I
nap.
learned a fact where they don't go fully into hibernation. They can be woken up during it.
Yeah. All right, which is better? I thought that this was like a classic Texan argument. Chili with beans, chili without beans, or I don't eat chili. I'm so glad everybody does eat chili. It's a great food. So who is the person that says chili without beans? I really want to know why you think that. You can just put it in the chat if you don't want to speak as well. Or if somebody wants to defend why chili should always have beans, I'd also love to hear that. Oh, Maria again, go for it.
Chili should always have beans because it has more flavor and it's just perfect like that. I don't know who doesn't want to eat it without beans or who just. I don't eat beans.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, looks
And
like
then-
Ruth, is that what you picked? You didn't really read it. That's okay. I appreciate your honesty. Me personally, I don't care if it has beans or not. I'll eat either one. But I thought it was funny. Some people get really upset if their chili has beans.
Miss, I heard that you were very upset where no one chose Burger King.
Yes, I'm still very upset.
Whataburger, in my defense, Whataburger is very much better than Burger King. I am sorry.
I disagree.
Yep. Exactly. How dare
Did you hear
you?
that? How dare you?
Exactly.
All right, here we go. Let's kick off our veterinary medicine material. Thank you all for sharing and participating. I hope you guys enjoyed meeting Glitch.
I picked Lyme because I'm a Gryffindor, and so I really like Lyme.
Oh, that's great reasoning, Sophia. So whenever I do a Harry Potter quiz, I always get Hufflepuff, no matter what. And Hufflepuff is actually a really great house. They're good people, but I always wanted to be a Ravenclaw or a Gryffindor.
I always get Ravenclaw or Gryffindor.
Okay, cool. How about this? Next week when I do another poll, I'll make sure there's a Harry Potter trivia question in there for you, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so we did our sections in our ecology module, energy flow and ecosystems, as well as working through what biodiversity means. So now we're going to talk a little bit more about deer again, but we're going to talk about them in the general food chain. So, but instead of white-tailed deer, I should clarify that we're going to talk about elk, which are generally bigger. And there's a picture of them here in the background. So when we think about the vocabulary we learned in our module, we learned a couple of different terms, including primary, consumer, and producer. And so this kind of relates them to one another in a sentence. So grass is a producer because it produces its own food, right? And elk are a primary consumer because they eat a producer, which is grass. Does everybody feel comfortable with that? Cool. Great. And if at any time anybody goes, whoa, Margaret, I'm not quite sure what you mean by that, please go ahead, raise your hand, put it in the chat. I'd love to explain it more if you guys have questions, okay? So then we talk about a secondary consumer. So that's who eats the elk, and that would be the wolf. So I believe it was Maria earlier who brought up wolf as a biotic factor. So it was great. It was like a preview for what we were going to talk about today. So in the last century, there's actually been a decrease in the number of wolves that have been available to actually eat the elk, which, you know, at first might sound good for the elk, but actually it's been causing them to increase in such great numbers, the elk, that it's actually causing a problem in the ecosystem. Because if there's too many elk then that means that there's not enough grass or producers to feed the number of elk that are trying to eat. So I can't, your lovely names are, I can't see. There we go. How do changes in Yellowstone elk populations affect veterinarians? Does anybody have any ideas? Oops, sorry. There's no wrong answers. You guys got this. Because, well, you're thinking about it, that's good. I'll start us off. Wildlife veterinarians are actually really important for balancing conservation of wildlife species, including the population level of elk. So that brings veterinarians and conservation together. Again, going back to that one health concept we talked about, how we're all interrelated, the environment, people health, animal health. And so as they've studied how the impacts of the overpopulation of elk have occurred, they've noticed that it's important to maintain a healthy population of the wolves, which are secondary consumers, to make sure that the primary consumers, the elk of Yellowstone National Park, do not destroy too many other resources because there's too many of them. Does anybody have any questions about that?
No.
Okay. So this is a nice little overview of kind of the things I've been saying, but it incorporates more of the vocabulary. It looks like Maria has a comment for us. With the help of wolves, it can help certain animals from going extinct. That's true, because if the elk eat all the grass, and that's taking away the grass resources from other animals. So over here it says, when the elk overpopulate, they face a lack of food availability, the grass or the producers we talked about, and that causes decreased biodiversity, which we'll discuss in a second. And then, like we've already kind of alluded to, then with the decreased amount of resources, there becomes a more competitive environment for everybody that's trying to eat the same food or shelter in the same place, but there's too many elk. And so that can result in deaths that didn't need to occur. So this kind of shows us that one part of the food chain being just off balance or overpopulated can actually throw everybody off in the ecosystem. It has a huge ripple effect. So let's talk about what happens when there's a change in biodiversity. And we're going to look at that in terms of a disease called Lyme disease. The Lyme disease has been studied mostly along with something called the dilution effect and how it changes biodiversity. So we're going to cover how that all works together. So there's a lot of words on this, but we're going to work through it slowly so that everybody feels comfortable with it. So in an ecological community, an increase in the biodiversity of the animal population can decrease the spread of disease. And we'll show you why that's true with our example of Lyme disease. Overall, having an increase in biodiversity to decrease spread of disease is called the dilution effect. The idea is that the more animals that you have, the lesser chance there is that all of them will be able to pass the disease on and spread it. So then the opposite of it is true. So if you decrease the biodiversity in a population of animals, then you are increasing the ability for the disease to spread. Now I know that's kind of tricky. What questions do you have about that? You can think about it for a second. Sounds like everybody's doing okay. I'm going to give us an example here in a minute that I hope will put it all together really well for you. So, Lyme disease is a disease transmitted by ticks. And we'll talk more about that in a minute, but it's one that this dilution effect has been able to be proven most effectively with. So that's why it's the example we choose. So before we incorporate Lyme disease, does everybody have their multicolored objects I sent on the supply list? And the container for it to go in that you can't see them? Oh, looks good. Great. Okay, so we're going to work through this stepwise. So it's very important that you, in order to understand the concepts that we're going to do, go ahead and just follow the directions step by step with me as I reveal them. Okay. And if you have any questions about what we're supposed to be understanding from the steps, please just throw them in the chat or unmute or anything like that. Okay. The slide has in it. Okay, I see somebody didn't get the list. If you have marbles or Legos or multicolored pieces of paper or Skittles or M&Ms, those will all work. So we're first going to start with 3 red pieces and 3 green pieces and put them in your cup or bag that you can't see through. I'll give you guys just a minute to get situated. Okay, so now, let me see if I can grab something for the person who doesn't have their things in case I can do it myself to help. I'll be right back, okay? Okay, what I have for you here are gummy vitamins because adults take those too. And I had multiple colors. Okay, so now I have 3 red pieces and mine are purple, but they're 3 different colors. I'm going to put them in this cup that I cannot see. Okay, so now shake it up and without looking, choose 3. See, here are my 3. I have These would be my green, 2 green and 1 red. I now have gummy vitamin all over my hands, but you know, that's fun. How many of them are red for you guys? I have 1. 1 for Ruth. Okay, it's a good theme. 1 for Carolina. Ooh, 2 for Olivia. Okay. Two for Sophia. Cool. I like that we're changing it up. 4. How could you have 4 if we only picked 3? Maybe that's a typo. 2 for Caro. Okay. Great. So now what we're going to need to do is place the pieces back into your cup or container. And I want you to add 3 yellow, 3 blue, and 3 purple, or three of 3 other colors if you can. So now I get to find 3 other colors. So first we have these vitamins. That'll be fun. I'll give you guys a minute to do that. Okay, so what you see here is my collection of different vitamins that I take every day, because as you get older, you just have to take more vitamins. This is gum though, so that's pretty good. So you see, you can do this with anything, as long as we can just demonstrate the concept. So before we only had red pieces, and these are my green pieces, but they're purple, these gummy vitamins. And now look how much more biodiverse this is. Now we have so many other choices to pick from when I put it in my cup. So I hope you all have your pieces in your cup as well. Select three this time without looking, and I want you to tell me how many are red. For me, none of them. None of mine are red. I think those are new ones for Ruth and Sophia. Okay. 0 for Katarina. 1, 1. That's incredible because I didn't get any. But you see how, because we had so many others to choose from, the probability that we were going to get a red one went way down. So hold on to your cup because we're going to pull it out again in a little bit. When we add more colors to our bag, we decrease the likelihood that we would select a red piece just because there's so many others in there that we might grab instead. This is the idea of dilution. We are diluting out the possibility that we can get a red piece. Dilution in our case involves weakening the chance that a certain color will be chosen by adding more colors to the mix. So that's just another way to phrase it in case it helps. So hold on to that. And now we're going to head over to our good friend, Lyme disease. So Lyme disease results from a bacterial infection that's carried by ticks. And the bacteria that's carried by ticks is B. burgdorferi, which the B is a lot longer word, so we just made it simple. And they call it Lyme disease to keep it easy. So if a tick bites a human, then they can transmit the bacteria to the human. Not all.
I didn't get that.
Oh,
Could you try?
my watch was talking to me. That was kind of spooky. Not all ticks carry Lyme disease, only a couple specific species of them called the black-leg tick or the deer tick. That's two different names for the same type of tick, which is this one right here. And then that brings us back to our friend, the deer. So here's a map for you here of how this works. So here, the bacteria here, B. burgdorferi, is carried within the tick that got it from another host, in this case, the mouse or rat. And then as the tick grows, it still carries that bacteria. It doesn't go away, and it can be passed to the human at either the nymph stage of the tick's life cycle or the adult stage. And so this is super important because it can affect both the deer and the human. So once the human has been bitten by Lyme disease or the deer, they are now considered a carrier of Lyme disease. And then another tick that's not infected yet with Lyme disease can bite this deer or this human and get the bacteria from them. And so it continues on and on and on. So if we talk about the dilution effect, which this is actually that bacteria, it's a spirochete or spiral shaped bacteria. So that's kind of cool. It is pretty, but it's not a good thing to have. Not all animals are capable of contributing to the spread of Lyme disease. So there are animals that when bitten by the tick do not get Lyme disease, but the deer and humans do. The animals that get bit by the tick carrying the bacteria but do not get infected are called dead end hosts, kind of like a dead end street your parents might drive on that there's nowhere to go, you have to turn around. It's the same concept. And so that just means, like what we've already said, is that if this type of dead end host gets bitten, then it won't carry the bacteria anymore. So when looking at the dilution effect in Lyme disease, researchers studying this found that as biodiversity increases, which we modeled by increasing all of the colors in our cup, the instance of Lyme disease infection decreases. Why is that? Do you guys have any thoughts? Sure, I could be happy to repeat the question. So researchers found that as biodiversity of the animal population increases, the instance of Lyme disease occurring in all of those animals actually goes down. And based on what we talked about earlier with our multicolored objects in our cup, why do you think that is? It's okay if you still want to guess at this point, because we will talk about the answer, but I wanted to see what you guys thought. Because we're adding more and that decreases the chance of Lyme disease because we're adding more like the beets. Exactly, yeah. So if we think about, and then Maria says, cause different animals and some animals can fight, not get the disease. You're exactly right. So the more animals we add into the mix, the better the chances that some of those animals do not get the disease. And so that actually decreases the chance of the disease being spread. The same with our cup example. So that is basically, you guys summed it up perfectly. If there are more types of animals in the environment that cannot contribute to the spread of Lyme disease, it's less likely that a tick that bites the animal is biting an animal that can get the disease. This is the dilution effect. The number of animals increasing dilutes out the ability for the disease to be spread. And so the chance of it being spread goes down. So think about our cup again of our multicolored objects. Let's pretend that our red color represents deer. And what we said earlier is that deer can get Lyme disease, right? Just in case we forgot. All of the other colors represent animals that cannot carry Lyme disease. So your greens, your yellows, your purples, okay? Those are all animals that cannot get Lyme disease if a tick bites them. Now you get to be the ticks. Ew, gross. And every time you reach in and grab a piece from your cup and it's red, that means you succeed as the tick and you give that animal Lyme disease. So I want you to reach into the cup 3 times and see how many animals you get to infect with Lyme disease as the tick. And then tell me in the chat how many you get to infect. Zero for Olivia. I drew no red pieces. So me as a tick, I get to infect 0 animals. Sophia is 1. Oh, Ruth, you make a very good tick, apparently. You find animals to bite. What did everybody else get? 0. Okay. It's actually a good thing if we get 0, right? That means we didn't pass along the disease. Waiting for another one. I think we're waiting for Maria. Maria, how many did you bite and infect? Zero. No, that's good. I'm happy that I didn't pass on Lyme disease to any animals today. So now that we've done it, if we only have red pieces in our bag, think about it. If all of these were red instead of all different colors, then we would infect lots of deer with Lyme disease, right? Instead of 0, all 3 pieces might have been red, okay? This represents an environment with decreased biodiversity. So in an environment with too much elk, like we talked about at Yellowstone, because there weren't enough wolves, then the chances of those deer getting Lyme disease goes way up, right? Because we've lost biodiversity. However, if we make sure that there's not too many elk and we have biodiversity like I have in my cup with a bunch of different colored animals, some that can get Lyme disease and some that cannot, we have the dilution effect and we decrease the likelihood of infecting with Lyme disease. So now that we've done the activity, what questions do you guys have? Was that helpful? Yes, good. I'm so glad, Sophia.
I have a question.
Okay, good. Any questions?
Can only ticks carry the Lyme disease, or can it also be carried by
great.
other bugs like fleas?
So now, like I kind of alluded to, we'll just pop back to our One Health concept for the week. And we'll bring it again to how veterinarians find that important. veterinarians find it a responsibility to make sure the health of all populations of animals and wildlife are balanced and have good biodiversity. That way we can help spread disease, because that's one of the main jobs of a veterinarian, right? Is to heal, to treat disease, and to prevent disease. And that's not just in deer. So we do it for dogs, for cats, for cattle, and for horses, because especially for cattle and horses, you think about it, cattle and horses, they live out in a field like we talked about before. And so cattle and horses might actually eat the same grass that an elk are eating. And so we could even have disease transmission across species if we don't do our job well. And then furthermore, like we talked about, Lyme disease can be transmitted to humans. So by taking care of the elk population and preventing Lyme disease with good biodiversity, we're actually also preventing the likelihood that humans can get the disease. Does anybody have any questions about that relationship? Okay, great. So we're done for this week, but we still have Kahoot questions. Don't you worry. Oh, Olivia, I see you have a question. Can Lyme disease be spread by other bugs, for example, fleas? That's a really great question. And good for us is that it is only spread by the tick. Now, other bugs like fleas do carry their own specific types of dangerous or bad bacteria that we have to worry about. Same for mosquitoes. They carry their own type of viruses and other diseases to worry about. But Lyme disease is specific to ticks. That's a really good question. Thank you for asking that. So I'll load our Kahoot in just a second. I just want to remind you that we're done for this week, but next week we'll begin again on Wednesday at 9 a.m. It'll be the same Zoom link. And we're excited that we get to keep working through ecology with you guys. These sessions are also being recorded. And so if you have a friend that wasn't able to join, or if you're joining today and you missed yesterday, tomorrow I will be emailing the recorded sessions of this with us working with you guys out, so that anybody needs to make up information will be able to do so. Okay. So if you guys have any questions you think of about the material, or if you're making anything up and you want to ask us questions, please feel free to email us. That's what we're here for. And now let's play Kahoot. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen so I can load it, but you'll just want to go to either kahoot.com and click play, or kahoot.it, and I'll give you the code in just a second.